Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Toffee Blues Opposition View. Again, I'm Max, and coming up this Saturday for the Blues, they're down to Turf Moor to take on a Burnley side who are having a very impressive season, flying considerably high for their standards in 7th, although they're yet to hit 40 points, and that is definitely this is going to be a big game in deciding who is going to end up with that 7th place spot. I got the chance to sit down and talk to Tyrone Marshall, who's a Burnley reporter for the Lancashire Telegraph, just to talk about the great season that Burnley have had so far and what's potentially could happen on Saturday. We're now joined by Tyrone Marshall of the Lancashire Telegraph. So I believe Tyrone was one of the first on the opposition view earlier in the season when Burnley played Everton at home. So Tyrone, thanks for coming on again, mate.
No problem, not a problem.
I'm well aware the season's far from finished and there's plenty of points to be won and lost, but from a Burnley perspective, this season's got to be considered a success, hasn't it really? I mean, I was doing some research earlier and I saw that bookies had Burnley 7-2 to go down. So from before the season, with the ambitions being to stay in the Premier League, to knocking on the door of European qualification now. From a Burnley perspective, what's this season been like?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think looking at the season as a whole, it has to be considered a success. You know, they're in a fantastic position. They're only 3 more points to match last season's tally. Like I say, 10 games to go, sitting 7th in the Premier League. If you'd been offered that at the start of the season, people would have snapped your hands off, and it's been absolutely amazing. It's interesting that the mood has probably slightly changed recently with the recent run of results. I've not had a win for a while now. But looking at sort of the bigger picture, which is a phrase the manager likes to use a lot, looking at the bigger picture over the whole season, to be sitting 7th on this many points and not involved in the relegation battle, any talk about the relegation battle at all, I think that's been considered a fantastic season. And when people look back, I think that's how it will be considered.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to attend an event a few weeks ago with Tom Heaton, who was interviewed, and he was asked about what's it been like this season in terms of how the team found being in such situations, and he said that in terms of the team, which is pretty much the contrast to Everton, they're all mates. There are no little cliques. There are no individual groups. The whole team as a unit. Do you feel like that is the key component of how well this season's gone for you?
I think it's a big component, yeah, and I think it always has been under Sean Dyche. He's very big on teamship and sort of togetherness within the squad, and it's something he values greatly, to the point that he puts a lot of research into new signings. There's a lot of psychological profiling with players that come in, and he's very big about the group and kind of making sure that it is all one big group. A lot of them made of the fact they're all British and Irish lads, really. There's Stephen Toffee in there, of course, and Johan Berg Gudmundsson, who's played in this country for a while, and there's no cliques at the club at all. It is all one big group. They're all in it together. There's no little groups sort of off here and there. They are one big collective, and that is definitely a strength of theirs, and it's something the manager sets a lot of store in, and he kind of lays that from the front in terms of his signings and making sure that new signings are going to fit into that ethos and that work rate. He demands a high work rate from players and a lot of sort of selflessness from players, and I think he puts a lot of store in that.
Yeah, and just on Sean Dyche, I saw a tweet earlier from Gary Neville. He was questioned if he was to choose at this point what club other than United he would go to. His answer was Burnley, and that Dyche would always have someone to cover him. And Dyche's been there since 2012, if I'm not mistaken, and so such longevity, which is very rare in football these days. Do you feel like sticking with Sean Dyche through thick and thin is a kind of throwing the seeds to grow your success, really, and you're reaping the rewards of that now?
Yeah, I think so. He's not really had many rocky moments, but there have been a few moments where the board could have thought twice. When he first got the job, the first season and a half or so wasn't particularly, or the first half season, sorry, wasn't particularly brilliant. But he always says behind the scenes you can kind of see the progress being made, even if results didn't count for it. And then they got that first promotion and then went straight back down in the Premier League. And, they were in the Premier League way ahead of schedule, really, and ahead of where they should have been in. But once they got there, the board could have very easily panicked and thought, let's try, a bigger name as such, or let's just try a change of management and try and stay there. But they saw through that and saw that they were in the Premier League ahead of schedule, and they got relegated but stuck with him, and it paid them back when they won the Championship title the next year. And since then it's been all success in the Premier League. It is very unusual to have been at a club for, it's coming on 5.5 years now. He's recently signed a new 4.5-year contract. So if he sees that out, could be at the club for 10 years. And it is very, very unusual in this day and age. But, he's overseen a lot of developments at the club, not just on the pitch, but off the pitch. He's kind of moulded the club into his vision. So he's a key employee there now.
Yeah, you say there his influence over the stability of what came at the club has been huge. One of the, he has saw some very talented players come and go. One of those players being Michael Keane, who has struggled massively, really, this season. He's not delivered from the expectations of what we saw him at Burnley. We saw, a really promising young England international. We thought, we could come into the Everton side and really make a place of his own. But as you know yourself, the stability off the pitch for Everton hasn't been there this season. So, as from an outsider looking in, what have you made of Everton's season so far?
It looks like you've had a bit of a nightmare, I suppose. It's been sort of, like you said, the stability's not there. You had to change your manager. They spent all that money in the summer, and then it seemed like there was no sort of obvious plan early season. And then you got a new manager in, and it seems that certainly the fan base don't appear to be behind him particularly. And, there seems, like you mentioned, the unity at Burnley. There seems to be none of that at Everton at the moment in terms of manager and fans, and that translates onto the pitch. And there's a squad of talent there at Everton, quite clearly. And probably been no surprise if you did enough to finish 7th in the end, where you finished last season. But it certainly doesn't look like you've taken many steps forward this season, that's for sure. And like you say, some of the new players have struggled to fit in as well. So I think there's still probably a lot to prove over the last 10 games of the season for Everton. Yeah,
definitely. And I think we saw that come to fruition in that home game at Goodison, where the unity, the team spirit of Burnley really took Everton apart, and that they were hard to break down. And a player that really caught my eye for Burnley was James Tarkowski, who of course is out injured, along with, I've got down here, Scott Arfield, Defoe, Brady, Walters. And have those injuries been influential in obviously the recent form isn't great? I've got the last win was on the 12th of December, so that's 12 games without a win. Just to comment on your recent form, how much of a shock is it to you to still be in and around those European places despite not having a win in so long?
Yeah, it's quite bizarre, really. So you've got 12 without a win in all competitions, 11 without a win in the league, and yet still be 7th. I think it kind of says a lot about how good the start was for Burnley. When they had that win on December the 12th, they went 4th for 24 hours. So they were flying at that point. So it shows that they built up a good tally early in the season. In those games, they have picked up some points, and they've actually had some good results against some bigger teams. The draws against Man City and against Man United. But they've just not really got that win. And I think it also says that the chasing pack are lacking a bit of consistency, really. Everton and Leicester have closed without ever going past, and they've put together a couple of wins on the spin and then lose a couple, and seems to be no real sort of consistency from 7th down in the Premier League. So I think it is a surprise to have gone that long without a win and yet still be 7th. And in that European picture, the injuries have certainly played a part. The loss of Robbie Brady was a big one. He was Burnley's most creative player and a huge creative influence. And then Stephen Defoe, who's the same from central midfield. So they've lost a lot of creativity and have struggled for goals, especially with Chris Wood being out. Wood could return this weekend. He was on the bench last Saturday. He played 90 minutes in the behind closed doors game today. James Tarkowski has played 90 minutes this week as well, so he could come back in on Saturday as well. So they are starting to get some players returning for what I think they hope will be a big finish this season. Yeah, and you say there, obviously, with the lads returning, do you see it being a strong possibility that there will be changes in the lineup, especially after just the poor run of results? Yeah, possibly. Yeah, I think they changed. They went back to the 4-4-1-1 system that they've used a lot this season on Saturday, and I think Dyche will stick with that. I'd imagine James Tarkowski will come back in for Kevin Long. Tarkowski and me are the real sort of first choice centre halves, and Long comes in when one of them's out. So with Tarky being back, I think it'll be Tarkowski and me. Playing at centre half. I wouldn't be surprised if Chris Wood came back in up front, although Barnes scored at the weekend. Other than that, I don't think there'll be many changes. So I'd say it'd be the one definite with Tarkowski and maybe Wood coming back in, and that'll probably be it, I'd have thought. Yeah, and then just on the discussion of players, and you did say there, which is
been a key theme for Everton this year. That there is talent in this Everton squad, but it just doesn't seem to operate as a cohesive unit. If you were to take one player out of this Everton squad at the minute, who would you take and why?
It's a tricky one. Possibly Gylfi Sigurdsson, to be honest. Burnley have lacked a bit of creativity of late, and scoring goals has been a real problem. And it's not so much the strikers; it's the kind of players playing behind them in a system that is sort of stifling a bit of creativity. And they lost Robbie Brady, who was a big part of that. And I think if they had someone like Gylfi Sigurdsson at number 10, who sort of can work hard and is also a bit more creative and kind of replace Robbie Brady's set pieces, it would have a real impact. So, although he's perhaps not had the best of seasons, I think I'll probably look at someone like Sigurdsson.
And obviously, we're coming up against an Everton side that are so inconsistent. Are you confident of a result? What do you think the score will be on Saturday?
Yeah, I think it's a great chance for Burnley to get back to winning ways. Everton have been pretty poor away from home this season, by the looks of things. So I think it's a real opportunity for Burnley to get a result and get a win. And I think they want to get this, although it is still a good season and they are 7th. I think this run of 11 league games without a win now is really starting to sort of nag at them and get them down, and they won't want to extend that too much longer. I think this is the ideal opportunity. I don't think there have been many goals in it. There's been very few goals at Turf Moor for either home or away teams this season. So I think Burnley might just sneak it 1-0.
It certainly wouldn't surprise me, especially with Everton away form this season being so poor. So just on that note as well, just to carry on a Toffee Blues tradition, as we ask most people that come on, what's your favourite film, mate?
Favourite film?
Favourite film, yeah.
Ooh, I'm not a big film buff, but I watched Spotlight the other day. Particularly enjoyed that one. So we'll go with Spotlight probably. Off the top of my head, that's the one I've enjoyed most recently.
Right, okay. Cheers, mate. Thanks for coming on again. All the best.
No problem. Cheers, mate.
So there we are. Hopefully that's give you a bit more insight into the game coming up this Saturday. Thanks to Tyrone again for coming on. It was great to have him back and to listen to his opinions on what's been almost a fairy tale season so far. With a real prospect of European qualification at the end of it for Burnley. This game will certainly be influential as to who will end up with that European spot. Again, thanks for watching the video. Like, comment and subscribe.